What's up, everyone? This is the Godfather Dictator. Welcome back to my Resident Evil Inferno. No damage run, S rank, no shop item, no infinite weapon or whatever there is. So, from a new game from scratch. Well, obviously, you got that if you watch the other segment. Now, I'm gonna do couple of tips and tricks along the way if you want, and I'm gonna also take that opportunity to talk about the game in general, and my thoughts on the game. So here, what I usually do is hug the wall a little bit, and if you do it for long enough, this guy won't lunge at you. Obviously, there's the speedrun strat that you can just straight up run and then 90-degree angle turn and keep going. It's a lot faster, but for safety, we're doing it like this. At first, also, I wanted to point out that I was actually killing that zombie that was here, but I ended up realizing that it's unnecessary, and even though I'm not even close to, not having enough bullets for the Defend Jill section, I feel if you can save bullet, well, obviously, don't waste them. And funny story also about that section is that I didn't give up on it, but mentally I had give up on it, if that makes sense. Like, my body was still, doing the challenge. Like, I pick up the controller and I was still going for it. But in my head, it was like, it could either be, a thing of like a day or two, or it could last for weeks, where I would repeat that entire segment, And what happened, actually, the reason why you probably don't hear a lot of the sound in the game right now is because when I recorded, I was actually watching Chris. For those that don't know Chris, well, you probably know him, I feel, if you're watching my channel, but is Seraphim17, or Seraphic17, how he's known on YouTube. And I was watching his stream, and because in my head I was like, well, I'm most likely not gonna get that right now anyway, so to me it was like, oh, I'm gonna record and leave his stream open so I could hear what he's saying. But what ended up happening is that this successful attempt was him in the background. By the way, here what I do is I do like the shoulder dash and then just ADS, and you can skip through the door. Very neat trick. So that's why. So I ended up having him commentating like the RE3 run that he was doing on Nightmare. So some of the stuff was really funny, the commentary along the way and all. There was also some coincidence here and there. Side note here, this is the speedrun strat that I've seen from Distortion and Trance back also. Really good strat, and I love when speedrun strat, I don't know, maybe the liquor was drunk here. I love when speedrun strat can translate into a no damage run in making some section easier, which definitely was the case in here. And now also I'm going to talk about this segment in general, is that to me it's definitely the worst segment in the game. And even though if I'm thinking about the spider bugs, early on in the mine, basically just after my first save, so on the second save from the bugs in the mine to Nemesis Flamethrower, so which was first Nem, that section is pure cancer, but in terms of time spent on this one here was definitely worse. And two of my run that were really close to being successful got to the end at the last hunter fight in the lab, and I totally choked. One time I ended up not having enough resources, and that was really freaking sad. And then one time I forgot, okay, wait, I gotta point out here, I'm using 2 flash in that area, and that's basically just to make it more safe, because 1 flash is really good for a speedrunning strat. The problem is when you do no damage, it's gonna reduce the percentage to worse than 25% success rate. So that's what I did here. And then what you gotta know, if you don't, is that when you stun enemy with a flash and you go near them and you shoulder butt, is gonna automatically do the melee attack because they're a stun. Okay, so that's good to know, because for instance, that one was blocking my way, and what I did instead of trying to run past him, because obviously he would have hit me with his claw, I just decided to punch him out of the way, so this way I could make my way through. So I think this area is good to point out that I used 2 flash, but I don't think it's totally wasted, especially if you kept 1 from the RPD before, you know, the RPD section. Same here, I use a grenade. It's not 100% required, but the thing is you get a grenade back right after if you clear that area, okay? I can actually allow myself to spend a little bit of AR bullet because I'm going to get more after. And what you get in the other room is actually a grenade, more AR bullet, and a flash, which is extremely useful for the Defend Jill section. So to go back to what I was saying before I entered the dual hunter room, and I wanted to point out the strategy, obviously. I wanted to say that, like, the run where I was close to being successful, I forgot that the reloading in this game, to me anyway, I don't know if anybody else feel like this, is one of the worst fucking mechanic that I've seen in my entire life. And in a sense that in this game, for example, if you're playing with Jill, and you're reloading your weapon, if you don't do a weapon switch, which doesn't come naturally to me in this game, because like the priority of how stuff works in there should not be like what it is right now. And what is that if, for example, you're reloading a specific weapon with Jill, she's gonna go through the entire animation of reloading, and the game will prioritize that over the dodge. And that is something that I just don't agree with the design. Why? Because I've said that many times, and for anyone that was on my stream, you will have heard me say this, is that I'd rather that the game prioritize me dodging an incoming attack versus getting a full reload. Like, even if the game would cancel my reload to give me priority over the dodge, I'd take that any fucking day over the game prioritizing the reload while you can still take damage. To me, it's a big no-no design. It's very lazy in my opinion. And even if someone would tell me you can weapon switch to avoid that, yeah, I know you can, but it shouldn't be this way. That's what I'm saying ultimately. Because what happened in these runs, including here, by the way, like, extreme luck RNG. I don't even know where the fuck that hunter swung. And that, by the way, changed my whole rhythm for that section. I'm not supposed to enter this room here running like a freaking idiot. So here, definitely one of the RNG of this segment where I should have got hit by the hunter, and then I should have almost fucked up the liquor section also. But for some reason, I got out of there without taking damage. And I seriously have no fucking clue how I did it. And the funniest thing is that the majority of the time where I was doing some actual clean run, you know, there would always be a part where I would get hit at the end. So to me, it's a bit like the game is laughing at me in a way that they're like, man, you see that time where you got ultra lucky? Well, there you go. That's your successful run. And I mean, there's a couple of those attempts that, well, no, not necessarily a couple of those attempts. No. Couple of those occurrences where you will see me getting really lucky in here and actually not taking damage when, like, I feel I should have. And those other attempts where I shouldn't have taken damage, well, I was taking damage. So you see, it's the irony of this. It's like run where you think you're not going to be successful are the one where you end up being successful. Another thing that I wanted to point out about that difficulty in general, and you guys can see it on the top right, is that when you're playing no damage, for example, like I do, you're always at max DA rank. And if anyone watches speedrun, for instance, if you check Distortion, Back, or anyone that speedrun that game, you will see that when they reach that point here, they will obviously not have max DA, and that's all planned for speedrun, because if you would get to max DA here in a speedrun, it would take 4 headshot bullet like it's taking me on the handgun to kill those guys. Like right now I'm just not aiming good, so it doesn't matter how many bullets I shoot. That's on purpose. But what I'm saying ultimately is you do more damage headshot in that section, and it takes 4 headshot on Inferno if you have max DA rank versus 3 headshot on Inferno if you don't have the max DA rank. I didn't pay attention what was the number when they were in those area, but it definitely makes a difference, and so much that to me, you know, the first thing that came to mind when I thought about this is that why does the hardest difficulty of this game can be manipulated like this to lower the difficulty of the mode that's supposed to be the hardest difficulty. Like, you guys understand a little bit where I'm going with that? I'm not a big fan of it. Good for speedrunner. I mean, awesome for them. Obviously, they can manipulate that, take damage on purpose, you know, in certain section, and it will actually help them go faster, because enemy taking less damage, you know, or taking more damage from you in that case, well, is a huge fucking incentive, you know, to actually mess around with the DA rating. So that's one thing I can say I'm not a huge fan of. Here, when I say I'm starting to get overwhelmed, especially with the tentacle enemy, sometimes you will have like one of those stealth zombie in that section that will just creep up on you and make absolutely no sound, which remind me like a freaking Walking Dead scene with stealth zombie, where zombie makes a lot of sound everywhere, but somehow like one is creeping up on you, and it's when it's on you that it's going like, come on, give me a fucking break, realism. So because of that, when I saw that I was close to being overwhelmed, I threw a flash, and mostly you just want to keep 2 for the end, and even I think 1 is enough personally, especially if you shoot the generator around. I don't think that you need to have 2 flash, but because I could use it, I ended up using it. After that, you're not playing with Carlos anymore, so what I say to everyone is throw everything, you know, at the zombie if you can. And that's pretty much also Chris that told me that before, that I can use like everything that I want. And here is the same thing. He told me to stay behind the desk because the hunter is gonna rush in, you know, and he definitely rushed in right now. And it's something I have a hard time dealing with the hunter in that section. A lot of time, like this one here, the last one would freaking kill me while a grenade kills him one shot. It's really neat, but it's because you gotta do it fast. One time I think the game prioritize my running over the grenade throw. That was extremely frustrating, and obviously not as frustrating as reaching the damn lab section and then entirely failing. That's definitely, you know, one of the worst. But yeah, there's a lot I think of frustration in that segment, and the biggest one I think overall that people might not consider is that when you play no damage, for example, like this, and you're going for S rank, it's that the pressure builds up over time on how far you are in the segment, okay? So we'll say each section that you clear, like, you're getting closer to your actual goal. By the way, look at the terrible nade effect here. I don't even understand how I actually managed to blind the zombie in that room. I mean, good thing that the nade, the range to blind people in this game, dude, is like amazing, because here I actually ended up blinding myself. Blaming myself. What am I saying? Blinding myself because I did a horrible throw that I thought it would be underhand, and he went like up for no fucking reason, you know. So so every time, you know, you get closer to your goal, it's like you have that certain pressure in the back of your head that builds up. Pressure also increases chance of failing actual segment, because when you're under pressure, it's not necessarily like being scared, but you're nervous, and when you're nervous, it's when you tend to do mistake. So for instance here, okay, like usually in that area, I would have already killed like the liquor with Carlos in the previous segment. But even, you know, knowing that I probably had enough bullet to get rid of that liquor with Carlos, I didn't want to take chances of missing like bullet on the defend Jill section. So here, because I'm not really familiar with the pattern for real, because that practice is what happened, is that I would highly recommend, instead of doing like I did here, is that before you would go for like a hardcore, what I'm saying, Inferno, sorry, is because RE2 kicks in my head, you know. Before you go for an Inferno, no damage S rank, if you would want to go for that, I would say practice each section separately, but that where you have consistent strategy. And I mean, consistent for this game is very vague because to me, like, this game is very inconsistent overall. But ultimately, if you can get comfortable enough with some of the strategy to make it past them. So, for example, I wasn't used to that placement here of the liquor when I was coming back, and it's actually, I think, very important to go get the 4 extra magnum bullet, you know, because the lab, there's a lot of palehead in there, and palehead, the best way to dispatch them because of how crappy the knife is against bosses. So you see, I took a chance, but to me, someone would have to practice that pattern because that was freaking stupid. I mean, I could have got hit. It's like I did a coin toss a little bit. Definitely not optimal. This is what I mean ultimately, that if someone would follow my run as an example, well, don't do what I did there because I actually had no fucking set strat for that area. And that's one of the worst thing you can do when you play those runs, is that you get to a place where you just get by randomly every fucking time, but you don't have any, you know, precise strategy on what to do in that section. And that's exactly, you know, what happened to me. This guy also, because of he can be such a fucking bitch, like at doing multiple launch towards you, and he goes really far, he's really fast. I rather lure him there. Another thing is that because this is a S rank, I don't have to speed run the game, you know, like, yes, you want to finish before 2 hours, but with the time that I have right now, it's like, I wasn't sure 100%, but to me, it was like over 9 chance out of 10, if not 9.5 chance out of 10, that I would have enough time to finish the game. And now that I actually did it, like, I know I had plenty of time, you know. So in that case, I feel it's worth luring the palehead out of the room and then make him circle the way around, so this way you know that he won't grab you. Because no joke, guys, these enemy are some of the worst enemy in the game, along with the tentacle guy. And if they would delete those enemies from the game, I wouldn't be sad at all. To me, there's literally zero appeal from those guys, and like, so much actually that I found out the hard way. One of the attempt that I got very close, like, ended up being so sad, guys, that for real, if you would have been on stream with me, you would probably add a tear in your eyes on how sad that thing was. Is that I got to the section right before the hunter, you know, in the lab where you go up, and then you have 2 palehead up there in that room where you get the other part of the vaccine if you want, and then you also have 2 armored SWAT guy with tentacle on their head, you know. And at some point there was 1 palehead left, and I didn't have that much, you know, shotgun ammo or anything left, and I tried to grenade launcher, and then I went close range and shotgun the guy. And believe it or not, it was not enough. Those guys' regen is absolutely stupid. I don't know who was doing the testing at Capcom, if there's even someone that tested that fucking shit. Because when you have that program that I have, that you can see the amount of health of each enemy, and you see how much percentage that fucker regen, guys, it's unbelievable. Like, I'm not even joking a little bit. I'm not mincing word here. I'm not complaining for no reason. It is total garbage. When you shoot an enemy nonstop with a pistol and he out regen the amount of damage you do with a pistol, regardless of what the enemy design is, it is total garbage. And if someone find an appeal to that enemy that is real, except them having all the advantage and you as the player every single disadvantage in the game, beside for doing magnum headshot, well, it is freaking terrible, you know. Here is a good example of that, because there's one back there, and like, I know before it even happened that this one is going to be problematic. So here you can see me actually going back, and then because, you know, I don't know where the fuck they are, I'm not risking it. I will go back You will see me leave after. Okay, I'll go back and I'll leave the last one alive. But you can use the corner trick like this, and boom, you dispatch that guy. And then I wanted to shotgun this one, but I'll leave them there because, again, I don't know the placement. He's going to go replace himself at his original spot. And I'm going to finish him with the pistol after. So we're going to save ammo. And it's not the end of the world when you're at that point. Mostly everything that you will have left after the lab is going to be what you will be throwing at Nemesis Tree, you know, in that circle. Funny enough, in that area, it's actually harder on hardcore because you have a bunch of zombie that comes out of there, and it's actually harder to get the fuse versus on, I think, what is it, Nightmare and Inferno? You have that trap here, but then you can always skip it because as soon as you reach, you know, the ladder, it is done. So technically, they wanted to make that segment way harder on that difficulty, obviously, because of the enemy type, you know. And I think I missed an item there. I didn't even realize, but I missed something on top that I don't know what it is. So if you guys know what it is, well, pick it up. But it's hilarious to me. I think it's another prime example of Capcom not really testing their section. And I mean, if they really did test those sections, well, I would like to know who tested those sections, because how do you make like a part easier on the lower difficulty than you do it for the highest difficulty? That I don't understand how you pull that off. I mean, props to them technically, so they give us a little break along the way, because imagine if you actually had to deal with those dogs and all. That would be like total garbage. So here, dispatching that last zombie in that area, and that's just because we're not taking any risk. And I say that, okay, but look at my next section after this. This hunter, by the way, is really nice on that difficulty. He always does the same thing, so you can just actually totally ignore him and just run all the way up, which is very nice. Again, I cannot really complain about that hunter on Inferno because he always does the same thing and he's very cooperative. Okay. Now the mistake that I do, and I don't know, I was nervous, guys. That's what happened. Okay, nerves get to you. Here, I think I get the mine one, because even though I can use the mine one on Nem tree, it's not necessarily required. You know, it's not important. I can use any other round if I really want. So what I do here is I use the mine to dispatch, you know, those guys that I know that will be down there and will spawn as tentacle as I go down. But the thing that I don't really pay attention to, though, is that there's still one alive, and at some point I stun the pale head, but then I just jump down like a fucking dumbass, not realizing, you know, that there's one alive. You see, I'm just focusing the pale head, not realizing. I jump down, I see him after, I'm like, fuck, dude. And then he swings at me. I do a perfect dodge, save my ass. Like, I just basically saved my own run. You know, that could have been it there. Extremely lucky, once again, I feel. This was not skill or anything. I wasn't paying attention. And for anyone doing this, I would definitely tell you, if you get that far, pay attention, kill that guy. Even if you have to waste an extra mine round, it's not the end of the world, all right? Now I'm going to grab the upgrade for the Magnum. It's not that important. It says that it makes it more precise, so you ADS basically quicker in a way that the zoom will go in faster. It's nice. It's not the end of the world. So after this, I'm gonna make more Deagle ammo. In that section, you actually want to use Deagle ammo. That I wish that I would say, man, you can keep the Deagle for the gun, but for the gun. What am I saying? For the boss, but it's actually one of the weapon that does the least damage to bosses for some reason. I don't understand. In my head, you know, a freaking Magnum round should do at least, I don't know, 20 damage to a boss. I may be exaggerating a little, but I feel it should do way more damage than what it actually does. And on a lot of those bosses, the shotgun is actually better than the Magnum, which I don't really understand, because it's like, if I recall, on other Resident Evil, the Magnum has always been like one of the best weapon in the game, you know. But in that case, it's almost like an advantage at this point. I'm not gonna lie. Why? Well, because of the fact that it's not that good against bosses, it means you can use more freely, and that means again against enemies that really deserve it. And in my opinion, because of how annoying Palehead are in the game in general, how fast they are, how scary they are in term of grab, you know, on how far they can grab you, I think it's pretty good to have a deagle round to dispatch them one shot. Obviously, like, you can miss your shot, and I mean, you can be in deep shit if they're close to you. But if you take your time, you don't panic too much. I don't understand why this other bullet didn't hit properly, but whatever. Not gonna argue with the game. But yeah, it's really good to dispatch the Palehead. Another suggested strat, and that I would say use at your own risk, is, you know how when you dodge, it automatically aims at the weak point after you do a perfect dodge, and if you're aiming, you will go straight for the weak point of any enemy that you're targeting. So if you're brave enough at that point, you can go for a first dodge on the Palehead and then go straight into the aim and go for a headshot with the deagle. But me, at that point, I'm not gonna lie, guys, I'm not brave enough to do that. Like, at this point, it's mostly the point where I'm thinking of what's left to do in the run, you know, and I'm nervous because right now we have, we'll say, five mag bullets, okay, that of course they're gonna be used like specifically at certain places to dispatch the Palehead, because that's another thing. When, we'll say, you get back, okay, and there's another one. I think I can make more because I had one left. Yes, there we go. I think I can make more, so that's actually really good. And that's why I would say try to keep some of the mag ammo for that section. So when you come back, well, say from doing the hunter, you don't want to have to worry on like a S rank no damage run if there's still some enemies alive, obviously, because like, to me, once you made it past the hunter section, you know, the one that bursts through the glass, of course, it's like you want it to be done. You want that section to be done. You don't want to be wondering, am I going to come back and then there's going to be like another Palehead there that's just going to grab me randomly and is going to like fail the entire run, you know? So right now in this room, in the other room, we're using the Magnum round to dispatch every single Palehead. And thanks also to the program, like, it just confirmed. By the way, look at this one here. Look at this one, you sneaky bitch. It just confirmed also that you killed them. And this one, I wanted to get close on purpose with the shotgun. I just didn't know she jumped like this, and she genuinely scared me, because did you see how I backed out of that area? I was like, are you kidding me? Is this gonna be hit? This is where I'm gonna get hit, okay? You know, like, terrible. And then, once again, guys, you haven't seen nothing. Like, the RNG that I said when I got lucky, it will stay up till the very end, and I'm not gonna spoil anything till we get there, but you will see for yourself. So now here, before he gets up fully, you dispatch that other Palehead, get the acid round. The acid round, funny enough, maybe on other lower difficulty you can make more, but they're actually really good against the hunter. And as far as I know, I think you can only make 4, because I don't recall having more explosive B compound around, because you need 2 B to make acid. And unless, like, on lower difficulty you might get some, or I missed some. It's definitely possible I might have missed some. I mean, I'm not gonna say that I found every single one of them. Maybe I skipped some without even knowing, you know. Or maybe someone will confirm and say, no, you're right on this. You cannot make more than this. But surprisingly enough, they're really good against the hunter. But there's also someone that pointed out that in the OG Resident Evil, it's also very good against Nem. So the thing I was wondering is, has anyone ever, like, not used acid round here on the hunter and test them on Nem 3 to see if they would actually do more damage or not really? Because in this run, I'm not going to be testing that, as I will be using, those round on the hunter in the lab. And that kind of makes sense, because it's one thing that when you shoot them with that, they will just dance, in the same position, and is the safest thing, while everything else, including the mine round or, the explosive round, will not necessarily stun them for a long time. It will stun them momentarily, but they will not do like the wiggle dance like they do when you hit them with acid round, and you're gonna see that right after that section. So here, it's kind of similar. It's the same thing. We have, I think, 3 bullet from Deagle. If you're lucky, it doesn't always happen. Like here, you see me, I headshot the palehead. If sometimes you're very lucky, you can hit the palehead and hit one of those guys at the same time, and you can kill a palehead and one of those tentacle guy in one shot. I mean, it doesn't always happen. You can also go a little bit further. You see me, I've kind of shot early. You can always go back a little bit more if you want, and then try to line up a shot. Sometimes it's worth it, but I would say it's worth it if you don't have enough magnum ammo at that point. And I have 3 shots, so I have 2 left, and I know there's just 1 pale head left in that room. So in that case, we'll say even if I would miss one of my shot, I would still have 1 shot left. Now, I need to say something really important about that part, specifically for anyone that would be attempting that type of challenge. We'll say, okay, you get here, you don't have magnum bullet. You don't have them, okay? Say where you're at 0. You only have mine round. What I would say is, don't panic into trying to kill that that pale head, but instead try to stun him with explosive grenade from your grenade launcher. And even though he's gonna out heal, in percentage as usual, and you're not gonna be able to kill it with it, you're gonna be able to stun him long enough to keep him out of your way, so that you can, we'll say, at least grab the explosive B, and then come inside here and grab this. And then after, obviously he will have got up, but then you still don't have mag bullet. Use another one, because I realized that after Nemesis 3, if you use your resources properly, you will have plenty left. And because on the last boss you can only use the pistol, once again, you have to keep in mind that it's better to throw more in this area than be more conservative, and then you end up failing because of that. So here they spawn. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw acid round, and then as you can see, the acid burns them. It deals a lot of damage. 2 acid round is enough to kill 2 of them, and then after we'll have the other wave where we'll do the same thing, but you'll see where it gets tricky, guys. It gets tricky on the last one, because once again I forgot how long the reload is for the mine round. So you will see me throw the mine round on the floor, okay? But then after that, when you see me aim, it's me trying to press the button for her to shoot. Like right here, she didn't want to, and here it's like extremely close call of me almost getting hit like 3 times. The first time, perfect dodge, that was nice, but then the second one, I moved forward and I had a dodge late, and then he tried to go again before I shotgun his face. But I'm not gonna lie, guys, that was scary as fuck. Okay, I really thought my run was done here. I was like, man, I failed again. This is it. But no, I actually managed to pull through. Now, I'm not gonna hide behind it. Okay. This is one of my most embarrassing moments here in the run, okay? Is that, do you know what happened? I get to the place where you need to make the vaccine and totally forget what the combination is in that area. And that's why, guys, I'm letting you know it's really what happened. Because I was like, man, I look like a fucking idiot right now. I'm doing that no damage S rank, and I can't even remember the fucking code right. You see me here trying different things, and I cannot get it right. So I press start at that point. I'm like, no. I look like a fucking idiot. We're pressing start. We're going to check on the internet, and we're writing it down properly. Like, stop that. You're making yourself look like a damn idiot at that point. But for real, guys, to me, it's so embarrassing, man. It's like, man, the guy does that run, man, no damage S rank, can't fucking remember the code to make the vaccine. Come on, Godfather. But that's about it, guys. I mean, we're at the end of the segment. A lot of fucking close call. It's funny because some of my other attempts were cleaner, but again, I never managed to make it to the end. So this one, as much as there's a lot of close call, well, it is the attempt that ended up being successful. So I'm not choosing it. You know what I mean? I'm not choosing when will be the successful run. So on the side note, guys, I hope you enjoyed that segment and the rest of the run. Once again, I was happy to do a commentary like outside of the stream for a full segment. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I mean, that's about it. The next two parts we're done on stream. So you're going to see them upload later. Once again, guys, I really hope you enjoy it. This was hell to do that fucking run. And I will catch you up next time. Peace out.
I was asking where the fails happened because usually Remake 2 was super consistent. Super consistent. You never got grabbed because you could do setups. Whereas in this game,